Hello, 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 hello. Hello. I'm going to try something here. Turn down this. All right. Well, lighting on Instagram is a little brighter than lighting on Facebook, but we got it all. Hello. It's been a minute since I've done a live. So I am ready. If you are joining me on Facebook or YouTube, I have something up on the screen. You can go to that link and just click to let me see your names when you're chatting. But hello, if you are here, click on that link if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Otherwise, say hello downstairs. Say hello where you write things, and tell me a win from this week. I guess my win would be I'm back at work. Last week, it's been a couple minutes since I was on here. A lot has been going on. So we had our in-person retreat for our clients, for our families, mostly from Chicago and a little bit in the Midwest. We did that in Chicago last weekend. I don't even know anymore. It might have been 2 weekends ago, beginning of August like 6th. And it was phenomenal. We had about 60 families and about 20 kids. It was a hot day, so we weren't able to be outside as much as we would have liked to, but it was so fun to be together in person with our families, to love on the babies and the families who have already been through the process and others who are going through the process. And I think, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the men, because I was just so in awe of the men who really just showed up, who really shared from their hearts. And it was nice to see for a change. It was really nice to see. We heard a lot of families say it was so nice to be in a room with people who got it. It was so nice to be able to put words to things we were feeling, but we didn't know how to put into words. So again, it's just so important to have community with whatever you're going through in life, right? To have people who get it, who are there with you. So right after the retreat, I had planned this whole vacation in Chicago while my son was still at camp. And unfortunately, the day after the retreat, I got COVID. So I wasn't able to enjoy my friends and my vacation the way I had hoped. But on the bright side, having COVID in Chicago near the beach was way better than here in Cleveland, not on the beach. So I went and spent a couple hours each day on the beach, and then I came home and went to bed. But I'm feeling much better now. I have a little remnants. This is no joke. It just kind of lingers. Who has had COVID here? I consider myself lucky. I didn't have it that bad. Connie had it as well from my team, and she got it really bad. Any COVID survivors here? So I am back at work, and that is a win. Another thing that a couple other things. So one is, for those of you who might know, RG Adoption Consulting, since I think 2018, somewhere around that, has had a nonprofit arm called Back to the Roadmap Fund, where we have been giving small grants to families, who experienced a failed adoption and was wanting to continue on in their journey to adopt. We would give small grants to these families. No questions asked. If they lost $5,000 or more, they would get a small grant from us. Well, we've struggled over the years to get a director, and it's just become too hard for me to run on my own with my wonderful board, but it became too much. So we are closing that chapter. We are about to send out the final grants and then close the doors on Back to the Roadmap Fund. However, we are opening a new door and a new partnership. We have developed a fund through Gift of Adoption Fund, which is one of the largest grantors, if not the largest, adoption grantors. So we are going to have our own fund within that and hopefully be able to help more people in a bigger way through funneling through them. So we're really excited about that partnership, and that will be starting like now. So we're excited about that. And another thing is that RG Adoption Consulting has always given a percentage of our income to Back to the Roadmap Fund. We will continue doing that and just funnel a certain percentage of our income to Gift of Adoption Fund, the RG Adoption Fund within Gift of Adoption Fund. So that's still going on, just in a different way, and I'm thrilled to be able to do that. So that's that. Let me take a sip of water. Anybody have any wins that they want to share with me? Please, in the chat, or at least say hello. Where you're from, where you're at in the adoption process, who you are. Nothing? No love. All right. All right, if you say so. Okay, the other thing is I want to give a shout out to Jordan Laws, who runs Black families who are trying to adopt group, Facebook group, had us on into her group, me and Simone Hanley, one of my consultants who happens to be Black. We did a whole Q&A inside their community the other day, and man, they had the best questions. There were like 30 something questions that were asked, and it was so great to be, it's always so great to be inside somebody else's community and having that, being hosted like that. So thank you, Jordan, if you are watching. Okay. If you're just joining from Facebook or YouTube, if you want to click that link that's on your screen, it will allow me to see you. Hello, Michelle. Thank you. Michelle Red Marie. Love it. Okay, so what are we talking about today? These are all things, every week I talk about things that kind of come up in conversation or that we're seeing posted in groups throughout the week. So one thing, you know what? I'm going to take that off my screen. All right, so first I'm going to say, stop trying to jump ahead. One step at a time when it comes to adoption. We have people all the time who are like, okay, I'm starting my home study. Can I see agencies now? Everybody's so quick to get an agency list to start applying, right? Because they want to be active right away. But slow your roll a little bit because certain steps have to happen before an agency will even think about bringing you on to their list. So what are those things that have to happen? One, you need to have a home study, an active home study. You also have to have an adoption profile. You cannot apply to agencies. They will not make you active until they have every piece of paper that they need filled out the correct way and turned into them. And that includes the home study and the profile. No profile, no being active on their list. The majority of agencies are like that. They just won't make you active until they have everything that they need. If they piecemeal everybody, it's, if you send in part of what they need and not everything, it's going to take longer for you to become active with them. So slow your roll, step back, one step at a time. If you're working with a consultant, trust that we are going to get you there as quickly as we can because we want to see you matched and adopted too. But there's certain steps that have to happen first. And we know the timing of everything. It's a little bit of a dance. I would also suggest don't go get your home study and then start the process, right? A lot of consultants will say, come to us when your home study ready. We don't do it that way. And it's because once your home study is done, the clock starts ticking. That home study is only good for about a year. So I'd rather see your profile done at the same time your home study's done, because your profile could take a couple months. So sometimes if you're starting with a consultant or with an agency or whoever, and you're home study ready, but you don't have that profile yet, that may be wasting a few months of time where you could be like having your home study actually work for you. Does that make sense? Am I making sense in what I'm saying? Am I losing you? So just slow down, one step at a time. Trust who you bring on your team to kind of walk you through it. We're not trying to slow you down, I promise. And in that same vein, I'd say stay in your own lane. And you've probably heard me say it before. Don't compare your journey to anybody else's journey. You're different people, you have different needs, you're going at different paces, you connect with, people jive with different people, um, all the things. It's really not an easy thing to really compare your journey to somebody else's journey, or to get all your answers from a friend of yours who just adopted. Maybe the route that they went down won't be the right route that you went down. Maybe the agency they signed up with isn't taking people anymore. So getting on a website and saying, who did you use? You might call them and just bang your head against the wall because they're not taking new clients, or they're not taking you, but they would take them because of their criteria and what they were open to versus what you're open to. So you really want to work with somebody who can guide you in the right direction and help you stay in your own individual lane. Another question I see asked all the time is, how long did it take you to adopt? Or how long does it usually take to match? There is no usual. It could take you a week, a month after you're home study ready and have all the things, and it could take someone else 2 years. So there's so much that plays into it that it's really, really hard to compare yourself to others or ask questions unless you're just trying to generally get an overall sense of the adoption journey. So stay in your own lane and stop trying to jump ahead, one step at a time. One interesting conversation that we had this week. So we often get situations sent to us from agencies asking for, and the wording is sometimes different, but in this case, they asked for an African-American family. And we have a family who is Black, but doesn't identify as African-American. So they wondered, would we be misrepresenting ourselves by applying to the situation? Now, we have never been asked this question before. It's a really interesting question. And here's what I'm going to say. In this particular situation, it's twofold, right? I think an African American or a black woman who wants a Black family is probably doing so for a couple reasons. One, so the child looks like someone in the family, and also to carry on the traditions, the sense of culture and history and the story, right? So this person has the experience of being Black in America, but might have a different narrative than the birth mother and her family. So my feeling is, if you think you identify with a situation, just represent yourself in the most authentic way. And that's all you can do. Then it's up to her whether or not she thinks she's the right fit for her child, whether or not you're the right fit for her child. So, I mean, all throughout this process, and as you're doing your profile, that's always asked, is just to be true to yourself and authentic to yourself. And then you won't be misrepresenting yourself or anyone else. But very interesting question. Let me see. Okay. The next thing I wanted to bring up is being intentional with your words. Words in the adoption world are so so important. And you could intend one thing by saying something, and somebody else could take it in a whole nother way. So, for instance, in a letter to an expectant mom in your profile, you may say, "You are so strong for making this decision to place your baby." And your heart is in the right place. But she might be reading it and saying, "I'm not deciding this. The state's deciding it for me." And, she might not see herself as strong at all. So that's just one little example, but there's so many little things that can be misconstrued or taken in a way that you are not intending it. So just think and put yourself in the other person's shoes as you're talking or as you're writing, to make sure that your intention is coming across and the words that you choose are very thoughtful. I'm trying to think of another example. Sometimes people with children say, I want to adopt because I want a sibling for my children. And that again can really be taken in the wrong way. Like that's a lot of pressure for this child to be fulfilling a role in your family versus just wanting to parent another child and complete your family. Or you don't want a birth mom to think, oh, my child's going to fill this role in this slot in their family, versus this is a family who can really love my child. Saying you want a child as a sibling for your other children, there's nothing wrong with that. But then it becomes about your other kids and not about her kid. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by choosing and being intentional with the words that we use. Here's another example. You are standing with your child, right? And you're talking to somebody else and you say, "Oh, my child is adopted." Well, when you say "is adopted," that equates your child's identity, right? That your child's identity is of being adopted versus he was adopted, which is something that happened as a way of him coming into your lives and into your family. So I would say my son was adopted. He isn't adopted. Adoption does not identify him, does not, identify him. It was an act that happened. He is an adoptee, if you want to use that word, although probably not. He's just your child, right? He came into your family through adoption. So those are the things I mean. It's just, they're small, little nuanced things, but can really mean something totally different than what you are even thinking. So we have to be careful with our words, not only for whom we're speaking to, but also for our children and to educate the outside community about adoption. So I hope that makes sense. I still have a little bit of COVID brain, so it's hard for me to concentrate, but that's it. We look forward to doing more Q&As with other communities and just educating as much as we can. Stay on your own path, on your own adoption roadmap. And if you veer off, that's okay. You can come right back on and keep moving forward. We love you. If we can help in any way, let us know. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.